Hi, welcome back to Microeconomics YouTube channel. My name is Godwin. Alright, so today we're talking about 10 principles of economics. No matter the school you are attending, I think this topic is going to be the very first topic, if not one of the first topics that you are going to attend in Economics 101 or Eco 101 or ECN 101, whatever it is that your school is calling it. So as an economics major, or let's say minor, if you are doing economics for the very first time at its most fundamental level, you are going to be exposed to the 10 principles of economics. They are principles that generally go through in our day-to-day activities. There are some of these principles that we put to use either knowingly or unknowingly. Now, the thing is that you don't really have to memorize all of these things, especially the way I've listed them. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. What you need to know is what you need to have is a proper understanding of all of these principles as to how they can also work for you in your daily experiences. I believe these principles might, economics is built on these principles basically, and then they are going to shape how you think, they are going to shape how you behave as long as you are an economics person, as long as you decide to practice economics, put into practice. Okay, they are going to shape some things about you. Alright, so now let us get into business. Number one, people face trade-offs. Number two, the cost of something is what you give up to have it. Number three, rational people think at the margin. Number four, people respond to incentives. Number five, trade can make everyone better off. Number six, markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. Number seven, government can sometimes improve market outcomes. Number eight, a country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce. Number nine, prices rise when government prints too much money. And number 10, society faces a short-term trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Alright, so like I said earlier, you don't have to memorize them or count them, you have listed them, just understand them, alright, and be able to list some of them, if not all, if you are required to do that. So now let's start. People face trade-offs. People face trade-offs. So when we are talking about this particular principle, we are trying to say that people, in order to have something, in order to have more of something, there is no way that you won't be required to get less of something else. Alright, because we don't have infinite options, our options are not infinite. Because our options are not infinitely open. Alright, so in order to get something, we need to give up something else. Alright, so you attending this particular class, for example, now, there is a trade-off for you. The time you're spending attending this class, that's time you could have used it to do something else. Alright, there is one of the popular movies around this particular time, like the Squid Game. Alright, although to some people it's already old. Now you could have been spending your time, in fact the battery on your phone, and then every other resource that you are using to watch to attend this class, you could have been spending it on watching Squid Game or doing something else. But because you decided, alright, to attend this class, you have less time available to do something else. So that's what we mean that when we say that people face trade-offs. Our options are not infinitely open, alright? So the more you have one thing, the less of another thing that you are going to have. Or if you decide to use your resource to do something, then that means you are taking that resource away from something else. Alright, so that's about that. And number two, the cost of something is what you give up to have it. Now this may look pretty simple. Cost, what is cost? Alright. Now cost can be very simple. If you decide to take a course online, for example, and then the monetary price is 5,000 naira, provided that there are no other costs, then that is what you are giving up to have that course, alright, to have that class. So that's 5,000 naira. But the thing is that cost, the calculation of cost is not always that simple. Now let us say, okay, you are attending this class, by now you are probably a freshman at a university or something. Alright, so you are attending this, you deciding to go into a university, for example, involves some cost. Obviously, you have your tuition, except you are attending a public school. Alright, the public school, yes. But then, in that case, we now have a tuition. But in one way or the other, if you are Nigerian, there are these different type of fees that you have to pay. Admission, is this an admission fee or something? They are going to clear yourself at your hostel or your hall, then the departmental levy and so on and so forth. So if you think that represents your total cost of going to college, I bet you are very wrong. Alright, you are very, very wrong. In fact, you have not brought in, let's say the cost of all of these things, this monetary stuff is 100,000 naira. So you can say, okay, the cost of being a freshman, alright, A freshman is 100,000 naira. So you can, with that, you can calculate what your total cost is going to be over your school fee and what have you over 4 years or 5 years or whatever it is, the duration that you are studying, whatever course it is that you are studying right now. But when I say that course is not always that simple, is because now look at you going into college. Now you could have taken a job, alright? You could have taken a low-paying job. Don't let me say a low-paying job, a job that matches your current skill set. So you could have taken a job and you could have been earning. Alright, so you not being able to take that job because you are concentrating on, because you want to concentrate on your university studies, simply means that there is a cost in terms of foregone income. Alright, the income that you could have earned doing something else. Alright, so that's also a cost that you are bearing. Alright, so that's one. Then another one is how about psychic costs? We are talking about the stress of attending the university. Now you have to start studying, whether you like it or not, except you don't want to graduate with a good grade or something. Now you have to start studying. Some of you have to burn the midnight candle. I had a friend in my university days who said she had to be stacking 2 chairs together and then sit down in the middle for her to be able to study. Some put their legs into bowls of water. Some have to take Nescafe to keep themselves awake and stuff like that. So what about all of those costs? What about you getting into the school as a fat person or someone who has a reasonable amount of fat in his or her body, and then you start to become lean because you just have to jack, like we say in Nigerian university. So you have to jack, you have to read, and something like that. So what about all of those costs? Some of you some people fall sick. It's not easy. You being subjected to the kind of stress that the university system has prepared for you. So those are also costs, and we call them psychic costs. Alright, so let me spell that. Psychic costs. So these are also costs that this is also a type of cost that you are bearing because you are attending the university. So so on and so forth. So there are different types of costs. Now you can think, okay, how about feeding and accommodation? Food and accommodation are also part of the cost that I am bearing as an undergraduate or something like that. Now I'm going to tell you that your feeding cost is not part of the cost of going to college. Now why? Because irrespective of choosing to go to college or not, or choosing to go to university or not, you have to eat. Alright, so that is not a central cost of going to college. You just have to eat. You are a human being, you have to eat. How about accommodation? Basically, you need a place to sleep. Alright, so regardless of whether you are going to the college or not, you have to sleep. The same thing for clothing, and so on and so forth. But now, where the cost of feeding and the cost of accommodation might matter as one of the costs of attending a university is when the price that things are sold in school is unreasonably or reasonably higher than what you have outside the school. Like that, the price of the food that you have to be consuming now, because you're in the school premises, the prices are higher than if you didn't bother to come to school. The same thing goes for accommodation. Now, let's say you're not bothering yourself to come to college. The place where you stay, the house rent is, let's say, 60,000 naira a month, but now you have to be paying, let's say, 80,000 naira to rent, to have your own room in your hostel, your bed space, and something like that. So the 20,000 naira differential is actually something that you are going to add to your total cost of attending the college over the period that you are enjoying that service. All right, in the university or in the college. So the same thing goes for food. If what you are eating in school is cheaper than elsewhere, if you are deciding not to come to school, not to go to the university, now the price differential is also a cost that you are bearing now because you are attending the university. So you add that. But if it is not like that, all right, you don't. If the costs happen to be the same, whether you come to college or you don't come to college, okay, if you don't add that at all to your cost of attending, but it's just a cost of you sustaining yourself as a human being. All right. Now you could also be thinking that, okay, what if things become cheaper in school than if I decided not to come to school, things like accommodation, feeding, and so on and so forth. So that means you have additional benefits. So that's you have additional benefits of that you categorize that under the benefits of coming to school. All right, or in some way, it kind of reduces your cost in that particular regard. So you can see that in one way or the other, cost is not as easy as it seems, okay, in some cases. So that takes us into implicit cost and explicit cost. We've done a video on that, we've done a class on that. So basically, if you are one of our students, after seeing this video, we are going to expose you to that video, because you need to understand some fundamental things about implicit cost and explicit cost. Alright, that's about that. Now, number three, rational people think at the margin. Rational people think at the margin. So when we are talking about people thinking at the margin, we are saying that people make decisions after weighing the incremental benefit they are going to get from taking that decision against the incremental cost that they are going to bear from taking that decision. So in economics jargon, we call that marginal benefit against marginal cost. So the incremental benefit you get from taking that action, that's the marginal benefit, marginal being incremental. Alright, and then the incremental cost from taking the action, that's the marginal cost. Now, an individual will consider it, okay, this that I want to do, does it benefit me more than it is costing me in one way or the other? So if the benefit is higher from that particular line of action, then what happens? If the benefit is higher than the cost, then it is rational to take that action, to take that line of action. And if it is otherwise, then do not bother to take that line of action. So that's what we are saying when we say that rational people think at the margin. Now I'm going to give you, I think I have an example here so that I don't digress. Alright. I'm going in this particular class. I'm going to make it the examples that we're using will be the kind of examples that you can relate with. Okay, I'm going to make it relatable as much as possible so that you get the main thing that you're supposed to get. Now, among the Nigerian students, because basically the things we do are for Nigerian students and by extension, students in Africa and wherever the videos they tend to go. Alright, so among the Nigerian students, upon the completion of SS3, I mean high school, between the period of high school and the period of resumption at the university, there used to be a difference of 6 months to 1 year, provided that ASU does not do their normal thing. Okay, the academic staff, union of universities, provided that these people don't go on strike, this organization doesn't go on strike, and then the lecturers put down tools, and then students have to stay at home for more than the required amount of time. Now, between that period of 6 months to 1 year, many students are torn between, okay, should they apprentice somewhere or should they take a job that just matches their skill set? Now, of course, a high school leaver, alright, does not possess ordinarily, does not possess or is not expected to possess some great skills like that, right? Because the person hasn't been subjected to some kind of trainings, some kind of expertise, some kind of exposure that might give him or her the kind of skill sets that might command higher jobs. Alright. So that's by assumption. Things are seriously changing now. Things are seriously, and I must mention that. So we can have people that are seriously skilled and they are high school leavers, athletes, marketers. Serious things these days, we never can tell. But let's also keep it simple. Let's keep it traditional. As upon leaving high school, the skill set isn't that great. Alright, so what you just have, the highest measure at that point is the WAEC results or maybe NECO results or something like that. So now, like I said, these people are usually torn between taking a low-paying job. Usually it is teaching, I won't lie to you. Okay, between teaching at a school that is just coming up or apprenticing somewhere. Now, so students are now, should I apprentice somewhere? Now, what are the benefits of, what are the costs? Now, you might pay apprenticeship fees, and I don't know what they call it, you might register with some money, so that's taking something out of your pocket, alright, directly. Then you have your time, then because you're apprenticing somewhere, you are not able to get immediate income if you have decided to go take a job, alright, then it could be a teaching job, it could be a factory job. That is what is common in my country or in the southwest that I come from. It's either students take up teaching jobs or they take up factory jobs. Alright. So you apprenticing, okay, you won't be able to get income like those people, right? But then the apprenticeship that you are doing is going to equip with one or two skills that you'll be needing. It's going to be equipped with one or two skills that you are going to be needing in the future. Alright, and because this is another caveat, because the period is kind of short, it's between 6 months to 1 year, and even the apprenticeship may not have equipped you enough to make you that skilled to stand on your own and then begin to earn money. Because some of these students, during that period after apprenticing, during that period, they come back to their bosses during the holidays to continue their training. Alright, so if you're the type of students where it's your school fee and whatever money that you need in school is going to come from your own pocket, you don't have parents that are really supporting you, or maybe you come from a humble family and you really need to add some of your money to these things, then you may not want to consider apprenticeship. You may just want to go for a low-paying job or maybe a factory job or something. So this is what I was trying to talk about. You want to apprentice, but then you look at the cost. Okay, and okay, you may not be independent by the time you are done. Okay, and that means that you are not able to earn income unless your boss gives you something, to just take and when people do hairdressing, they learn tailoring, fashion designing, and so on and so forth. Alright, and then if you are going to take a job, then you look at it, what are the benefits, what are the costs. Alright, you are going to be earning some income, but then you may not be getting a significant skill. Alright, you may not be getting a significant skill from teaching or from you may be skilled, but I'm saying significant based on your level, right? So I may not even be getting a significant skill, but at least at the end of 6 months or towards a year, you could have gotten some amount of money that you can use in school, to kind of cushion whatever it is that your parents give you to augment it, alright, and also for your welfare. So you look at it, if I apprentice, what are the costs, what are the benefits? If I decide to go take a job that's matching my present skill set, what are the costs of that? So you are looking at the marginal cost. So those costs that you are looking at from taking that line of action, those are things that we consider the marginal cost, and then the benefit side too. So you then begin to weigh. And at the end of the day, I believe that if you put 10 students together, you are not going to get the same result. There are some that go for an apprenticeship, there are some that go to take a job or something. So that is something about marginal cost and marginal benefit. Rational people weigh the two sides. Weigh the marginal cost, weigh the marginal benefit. Then whichever is heavier, then determines the line of action that you are going to eventually take. Alright, if you have any question, please leave them in the comment section. Now, number 4, you have people respond to incentives. Now, when I say incentives, I wrote a definition down here, and I don't want to forget it. Okay, I said incentives are things that spur or debar an individual. Okay, debar an individual from a line of action than otherwise would have been. Okay, incentives are things that spur or debar an individual from a line of action than otherwise would have been. So there is something that you want to do ordinarily, but because there's an incentive, it is not kind of changing the line of action. Now, I'll give an example as a student as well. So let's say, okay, I have Oluwatumishi as one of our students, okay, a female, Oluwatumishi. Okay, let's say Oluwatumishi decides to, what made her to join us, our organization, our School of Economics, is the fact that we told her, I'm not saying that is it, I'm just kind of, because she's going to see this video mostly, so I'm just trying to be hypothetical, right? Okay, hypothetical here. Alright, so Oluwatumishi decided to join us, okay, decides to join us because we told her that there is a monthly exam that she's going to be doing, okay, after the classes, and then there is a scholarship for the best performing students based on these exams. Alright, and then she feels, okay, scholarship, she can win the scholarship. You let her join and then take part of our classes, take part of our activities, and take part of these exams. Then hoping that she would be the person to perform best on this exam and then win a scholarship. So Oluwatumishi wouldn't have joined, alright, wouldn't have joined at all if we didn't tell her that there is a scholarship opportunity. But now that she's joined because there is a scholarship opportunity, she's responding to an incentive of scholarship. So scholarship is incentive and she's responding to it. If there wasn't a scholarship, she would have gone this way. But now that there is a scholarship, she's going this way. Now, incentives could be positive or negative. So I just give an example of a positive incentive that is spurring an action. Now, what is a negative incentive that might debar one from taking a line of action? So that one is, like I said, I'm going to try to be relatable as much as possible. You being a freshman right now, seeing this particular video, whatever, let's assume that you're a freshman right now, okay, seeing this particular video. If in your school, in trying to pick your electives, you then ask your seniors, and then your seniors say that course is a waste of time. That elective that you want to pick is a waste of time, and then you are likely not going to have a good grade. I don't really want to start your economics journey in school with a shaky foundation or with a bad grade. Alright. So what is that information going to do? What is that? So we have a negative incentive already. And the negative incentive is that if you take this course, one, it's a waste of time, and two, you are likely going to have a good grade because the lecturer is this kind of person that doesn't give students grades no matter what you write or something like that. So the course, you might eventually take, if you weren't told that, you might eventually take the course and realize that it is interesting, and in fact, eventually you might ace the course. Alright, but because of the incentive, which is kind of the disincentive that you've gotten, which is the bad grade that you might end with, and that the course might be a waste of time, you may not even bother to check the course outline. Alright, you don't move on and then take another course. Alright, so that is telling you that you're also responding to an incentive, albeit a negative incentive in this particular example. So that is it in everything that people do. But I don't know how many incentives that you responded to today as I see this particular class. You don't know how many incentives that I responded to as well. Alright, so for example, where this class is being recorded is the school where I'm having my national youth service call right now. So I think I should say it so that over time when I get to see this video, I'm going to remember that, oh, when I was in that particular school, I did something. So because the school has a facility that can help me, alright, to record classes and so on and so forth. So I'm kind of, this is closing, people have gone on. So there is an incentive and I am staying to take the classes now. So I'm responding to an incentive of the school having facilities I can make use of. Alright. So if not, I would have gone on like others have gone because the school has already gone. So that's what we're talking about. In one way or the other, we respond to incentives. Alright. So I don't want to overshoot that. Now number 5, trade can make everyone better off. Trade can make everyone better off. Now, the device that you are using to attend this particular class, I doubt if you are the one that produced it. The clothes you are putting on, I'm hoping that you are not naked. Okay, the clothes that you are putting on right now, I don't think you produce it. I kind of doubt it. That you produce, I mean everything. Alright, so I produce everything. Likewise, as I didn't produce this book, I didn't produce this writing material, this truck, the clothes on me, look. But even myself, did I produce myself? Anyway, let's leave that aside. So now, trade can make everyone better off in the sense that everything that we need cannot be produced by us. So we just have to kind of specialize in the things that we can do or we can do best in one way or the other. So when I say in one way or the other, I'm trying to really incorporate things like absolute and comparative advantage here. Okay, things you can do best, maybe using the least resources, or things you can do best, considering the opportunity for gone, considering other things that you could have done. Alright, so that's talking about opportunity cost. Over time, we are going to understand these things. Alright, so when we say trade can make everyone better, we are saying that if I am able to produce something, I'm rendering a service and I'm teaching you a class, then I get rewarded for it directly or indirectly. Alright, I can use that in exchange for something that someone else has produced, and then everyone becomes better off. Okay, a simple case is a case of trade by barter. So let's say I need maybe money for subscription, and then I can render you I can teach you a class or something. So I teach you the class, and you give me money for subscription. So we are happy, alright? So that's what we are trying to say, that trade can make we can necessarily if we decide to be self-isolated, we are likely going to be worse off, alright? Because we won't be able to we can't produce everything that we really want. You know, we can't produce your car, and even if we can produce all of these things, we have our time being limited. Right, our time is limited. Then we could have done something better than what we are currently doing. Just leave this thing to someone that can do best, and then you do what you can do best. Alright, and then you guys trade, and everybody becomes happy. Alright, and everybody becomes happy. So trade can make everyone better off. Now, number 6, markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. Now, by now, I want to believe that you don't still think the market is a place where buyers and sellers mix to exchange goods and services. No, that definition should have died in primary school. Alright, so market now is more or less a platform. Any platform that brings buyers and sellers together for the purpose of a transaction or an exchange. Alright, so you can seal a deal on your phone. You can buy or sell something with a click of a button. Just click something, and then you bought something, you sold something. Alright, so market is a platform that brings any platform that brings buyers and sellers together, alright, for the purpose of exchange. So when we say markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity, this is talking about free market. Yeah, it's actually talking about free market, free enterprise, where the invisible and the demand and supply and everything when they interact, and then they yield the equilibrium quantities and then the equilibrium prices in a given market. If you don't understand that, don't worry. Over time, this is an introductory class. This is one of the first things, if not the first topic in economics. Once you go on, so over time, you're going to understand what I'm saying. So when we say that a free market, so our that mindset is actually a free market. Free markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. Why? Because number one, a free market ensures that only what people value is what is produced. Okay, number one, a free market ensures that only what people value is what is produced. So if you are a seller and then you produce something that people don't value, then people are not going to buy. And if people are not going to buy, you go out of business. So what does that mean? What does that mean? It simply means that there is no misallocation of resources. Alright, you are not wasting resources. What's the point? If you produce something that nobody needs, that means you are wasting resources. And if the market does not give you that opportunity to produce something that people don't value and people won't buy because they don't need it, alright, so that simply means that you don't have any incentive to produce them. And in other words, the market is ensuring that there is no wastage. Alright, so that's one of the reasons why we say that markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. So there's also another factor, which is because markets are able to markets are a good way of organizing economic activity because it ensures, the market ensures that only those that value a product the most are the ones that get it. Because value is reflected in the price that we are willing to pay for a product. Alright, so if I say that I want to get this thing for 20,000 naira, that means the value of that thing is at least 20,000 naira. And if when we are buying things, we buy things with the mindset that the value of that thing is kind of greater than the price that we are paying. Alright, so now the market system ensures that all people that can afford the product are those that get it. And that simply means that people that value a product are the ones that, if you don't value it, you won't get it. If something is 30,000, if your phone is 67,000, that is the market price, right? So people that say that they cannot afford 67,000 are indirectly telling that they do not value this product as much as the price is requiring them to pay. Not that they don't value it at all, but they do not value it as much as 67,000. So if you could sell for 35,000, maybe they could get it. And in fact, I even think that not being able to afford something is kind of a relative concept. It's a value concept. You understand? It's not as if some people don't have the 67,000 naira, but they don't value that product to what 67,000 naira. So as long as the market is functioning properly, it ensures that only those who value the product are the ones that eventually get it, because value is reflected in the price that people are willing to pay for a product. Alright, so in that case, it also eliminates wastage. Okay, when there is a system that ensures that if I need something, I get it. So that means if I don't value it, I don't get it. So there is no waste. But if I don't value it and I get it, then you are wasting it. That means you are taking it away from someone that will be valuing it and is not getting it. Alright, so that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Alright. Now number 7, governments can sometimes improve market outcomes. What do we mean when we say that government can sometimes improve market outcomes? There are times that the market will not function very well. Remember that I said that markets allocate resources based on the fact that based on people's value. Alright. So I said number 1 that market ensures that goods that are valued are the goods that are produced in an economy. Okay. In other words, it prevents wastage. So you don't when there is no demand, you don't supply. Alright, so that's what the market is saying. When people don't value it, you can't supply anything. Alright, so now there could be a fault with that, and there could be different type of faults. I'm going to talk about like 2 of them. Now, one fault is that there are goods that people value, but they do not value well in a way that if the market were to provide it, the market will be running at a loss. Alright, so and these are goods that sometimes or most times they have this free riding opportunity for people. Now when we say people are riding for free, something like that. So when we say people are free riding, what we mean is that people can decide not to pay for a product. In fact, people don't necessarily have to pay for a product, and they can never be exempted from enjoying the full benefit of that product. So an example is national defense. An example is like a fire service, for example. And so if you have a neighbor who pays, I don't know what they call it now, or who pays for fire service in one week or the other, and the neighbor's house is burning, alright, or maybe, maybe the neighbor's house is not burning, maybe your own house is burning and you've not paid the money for fire service, because people don't want, because of course the fire does not have to spread to other people. Now you have to be addressed, the issue in your house has to be addressed. So that means you are enjoying the benefit that you may choose not to pay. It's your neighbor that is paying. Now because we don't want your neighbor's house to get burned, so we have to attend to your own house, okay, from burning down completely. Alright, so in that particular case, you are not paying, but then you are enjoying the service. So in that, if the same thing for national defense. Alright, that is why you see government being the one to be provide national defense. And so it is not the military is protecting the whole state. Okay, because it's called state in political science, or protecting the whole country. Policemen are protecting the place that you put them. Okay, they are going to protect their responsibilities to protect everyone there. Alright, so whether you are paying for security fees or whatever it is called or not, you are being protected as well. So now in that particular case, you won't have private firms producing that service, because it's not going to be profitable to them. So that means one person can pay, and then in trying to provide a service to that one person, there are several other people that can enjoy that benefit without necessarily paying. Okay, so that means they can free ride. I think there is no way of obtaining that free riding opportunity. Nobody is going to provide security service in the market, so the market will provide it. So that is why you have government. So that's what I call a market failure. So where there are people who want security, and you have, so there's demand now, but you have firms that are not supplying it, because if they supply it, it's not going to be profitable to them. When they supply it, people are going to, a lot of people will free ride on that opportunity. So the supply of that product will be non-existent. So that is why you have government providing things like national defense and so on and so forth. Right, so that's an example of a market failure where you have free riding opportunities. Okay, and I've given an example which is national defense. Now another thing is when people value a product, but they don't value it as much, okay, as what the value should be. They don't value it as much. And an example is basic education. Now, when you ask, this is not even talking about college education. I'm just talking about basically your primary school, high school education, because the society, there are social benefits to an average citizen being educated. Now, the citizen may not. So here we classify private benefit against social benefit. To you, the benefit will not be that much, but to the entire society, all right, because good citizens means that you understand good government, you are going to understand government policies. When you are educated, when you are enlightened, you kind of know that you need some form of political participation. You kind of know things that are going on in the environment. In fact, if you end up being in a place of power, there are some policies that you might put in place. It's kind of easy to talk to somebody that's educated. It's kind of easy to listen to someone that's educated. Even in terms of hygiene, that's of cleaning the environment and something like that. I'm not saying that all educated people are clean. No, I'm just trying to say that there are lots of benefits, alright, to people being educated. It even makes it kind of easier for us to get high-paying jobs that can stop people from going to criminal activities and so on and so forth. So now, because people's private benefits, people do not value that good as much as the society values it. They are not going to, and I told that values are revealed in prices. So the price that an individual is going to be willing to pay is not going to be as much as that an individual should pay. And then you now have firms not providing that product. So an example, I've given an example, which is education. Alright, basic education. So you now have the government providing basic education for free. Okay, in some states in Nigeria, it's not really free. In one way or the other, you're paying, but like at least it is different. So now we have private schools, and private schools are for those that can pay that money. Alright, they can pay the tuition and everything like that. But this majority of people that cannot afford this, they have the government coming to cater, for them. Alright, so in that particular case, a private firm would not produce a good that people undervalue. So in that particular case, you have basic education being a merit good, alright, a merit good. So a good whose value, a good that is undervalued by private individuals in the society. So merit good. So you have the government coming in to provide. So these are two examples. Free riding, when there is an opportunity to free ride, the market will not. There's going to be a market failure. Demand will not be equal to supply. Alright, the same thing when there are merit goods and then firms cannot charge people, okay, as firms cannot charge people as much as they should have to be profitable. All right, so you will have the government come in, and supply will also not be equal to the demand for that particular product. So these are two examples of market failure that governments can come in to improve. But I should there be something that there can be government failure. All right, there can be government failure where governments are coming in to resolve a market failure problem, then incurs more cost, and it worsens the situation than if it had left the market that way, okay, to just continue its market failure. And so that leads us to the assignment that you are going to have. You have an assignment already. So the assignment is going to be for you to research 5 cases where government has failed. You have to research. So that's number 1. You have a second assignment. Research 5 cases where the government has failed. That is, research 5 cases, 5 examples of government failure. Alright, so you do that assignment in addition to the second one, and then you submit to me. You know how to do that. Now, number 8. A country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce. A country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce. So take yourself for example. So why are you in school? Why is this for you? Why do you decide to go to college, to go to university? So you are likely doing that because you want better earning opportunities. You want to be skilled. You want to be exposed. All right, so that you'll be able to, so that you become attractive to high-paying jobs. All right, and when you get attractive to when that such opportunities arise and you go and you take them. All right, so you begin to earn a significant income, and then transform your life from when you had not gone through the university system. So that takes us back to the example of our friend that was trying to decide between an apprenticeship and then a low-paying job. I don't think that after your 4 years in school that you're going to go back. Alright, so that school that you have probably worked, or maybe to that factory, unless things are terribly bad for you in maybe your country, or maybe the economic situation is terrible. Alright, at that particular period of time. So why are you not going there? Because you're a better person now. You are more productive. You can do more. If you are given the resources of that particular time, you can do more with it now, because you've been kind of trained. The school has taken you through some process, so you are exposed. You've met people. You've seen a lot of things that you can do, and so that's it. So by the time we extend that to a country at large, so the skill set of the labor force of a country determines the productivity of citizens of that country. All right, and the skill set of the citizen in addition, so the use of other resources, other factors of production, the land, the capital in the country, and so on and so forth, will determine the type of things that the country can produce, will determine the level of income of that country, alright, and by extension determine the standard of living of the citizens of that country. So that's what this point is trying to say. Like, country standard of living depends on its ability to produce. Alright. So as you are going to the university to become a better person, so you'll be able to produce better good and better services than if you are not gone through a university system, or gone through any training in particular, or gone through any education in particular. So the same goes for a country. Alright. So the skill set, the good use of the resources of the country into producing something would when you produce, you sell, and maybe you sell, you export, or whatever, would then determine the average standard of living of that country. So if you have a country that is really productive, especially in terms of capital goods, right? So maybe in terms of capital goods, that country is likely to be better, okay, in terms of standard of living than another country that is maybe just involved in the production of primary goods. Alright, that maybe an even process that abroad or something. Alright, I think an example will be coming to your member who said, and number 9, prices rise when government spends too much money. Prices rise when government pays too much money. So how does this happen? When government pays too much money. Okay, so this, before I continue, here comes your second assignment. And the second assignment, number 2, is that the central bank of your country, or the reserve, or the federal reserve bank of your country, is not the one that prints money. I know you may be shocked. Okay, you think, no, the central bank of Nigeria is printing money. No, they are not the one that's printing money, or maybe directly they are not the one printing money. All they do is to issue new currency. They don't print it. So now your second assignment is to find out the organization that prints money in Nigeria or in your country. Alright, so that's your assignment number 2. The first one, you kind of research on 5 cases of government failure. So you write your answers sheet of paper, you now submit it. Then number two, who prints money? What organization prints money in Nigeria or in your country? So just try to find that and realize that it's not the central bank. Okay. So when we say price rises when government prints too much money, what we are trying to say is that when the government prints too much money, in one way or the other, it gets into the economy. Alright, then people start to have a lot of money to spend. Right, so that's what happens. When you start to have a lot of money to spend, then you have something that we call aggregate demand rising in the country. So when we say aggregate demand, I'm talking about a lot of people. We have money now, right? So you can go to you can start trying to order this one, order that one, buy this one, buy that one, on average, than when that kind of money hadn't come. So because firms won't be able to, because firms are not able to respond in increasing supply. Now this is talking about aggregate supply. Because they're not as fast in responding to aggregate supply, the increase in aggregate demand is going to be more than the increase in aggregate supply. First, when that begins to happen, we see firms increasing output, but then they hit their capacity. But now we're talking about printing too much money now, too much money. So firms have hit their capacity, they need to make strategic decisions, long-term decisions in order to meet this booming demand from different angles and so on and so forth. So because that takes time, so currently what is going to happen, you then see that firms will begin to charge higher prices for their existing product. So as they begin to charge higher prices for their existing product, then they start to have this demand pull inflation. Alright, so that is just what we are talking about. When the government pays too much money in circulation, and then it significantly affects spending. From there, firms who cannot increase output as aggregate demand is increasing, would then have to charge higher prices, and these higher prices will lead to inflation eventually in the economy. Alright, so that's exactly about that. Now the last one we're not talking about. So the last one is talking about society faces a short-term trade-off between inflation and unemployment. So inflation being the increase in the aggregate price level. Right, and unemployment talking about the number of people in the labor force that are seeking jobs, they are capable of working, they want to work, they are looking for work, but they can't find work. So we'll talk about this one. So we'll expand on it later in your macroeconomics courses. Okay, so society faces a short-term trade-off between inflation and unemployment. So what does that? I'll give you an illustration. So let's say that there's inflation in the country. Okay, let's imagine that from here, when government printed so much money, there's inflation in the country now. So now the government then says, let us tackle inflation. And how can they tackle it? They have different policies. So they decide to increase the tax rate. So they are increasing company profit taxes now, and they are also increasing personal income taxes. Alright. So they are affecting firms and individuals and households at the same time. So now what is that going to mean? That simply means that people's disposable income, that's your income after tax, would reduce. And once the income after tax, the government is tackling inflation, right? It wants to reduce inflation. Once the income after tax is falling, so that means what people can spend now has reduced, right? Because government has taken part of their income away. And as that is happening, so you then see people begin to cut back on their spending. As people begin to cut back on their spending, you then see that aggregate demand will begin to fall. The aggregate demand that had gone up before because government invested a lot of money, aggregate demand will now begin to fall. So as aggregate demand begins to fall, then you see that the price level start to come down. As it is coming down, what happens? Firms are going to respond. So as there's a reduction in aggregate demand because something inventory, alright, firms will begin to cut back on their supply too. So as firms are cutting back on their first price level will start to come down, then firms will begin to cut back on theirs because what people are demanding now is less than what we are supplying in the market. So we can't keep piling up inventory. So let us cut back supply. So as firms are cutting back supply, okay, as that continues to happen, we then see them laying off some of their workers. Okay, the workers that are needed to produce 2,000 things may not be the workers that you need to produce like 1,200 things. Alright, so you kind of start to lose some more. So as that is happening, you then have more people getting unemployed. So the government is trying to tackle inflation, which obviously it is, the price level is coming down. But then what is the cost of that particular action? You have more people being unemployed. So that's the trade-off. The government wants global inflation, but then what is going to be happening is an increase in unemployment, albeit in the short run. In the short run, like for just a short period of time. It's not short, like literally short like that, but let's just put it that way. In the short run, before strategic things are now going to be put in place in the future. But currently, the immediate effect of that is that trying to cut back on inflation is going to lead towards an increase in unemployment in the short run. And this is depicted on the Phillips curve. Okay, so Phillips curve is the curve that shows the short-run trade-off between inflation and unemployment. You having inflation here, having unemployment here, and then having this. So as the government is trying to target, let's say this is here, inflation level is here, unemployment is here. As the government is trying to tackle a lower inflation, see, it is having more unemployment. So all is in the short run. So this is an introductory class, like I said. You don't have to be burdened with so much things. You are going to learn them. There's no need to rush. You are going to learn them as you sojourn in your economics. Is it journey or adventure, whatever it is that you call it. So that's all about that. Don't forget your assignments. You have two assignments. Research on 5 cases of government failure. Write them down and tell me the organization that prints money in your country. Okay. Send them to my DM, and then that's it. Alright, so thank you very much for attending this class. We'll be talking more on economics in subsequent classes. See you there.